Hi everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, and I'm joined with a very sick Connor.
I'm here. I'm making the effort.
Yeah, we actually had a couple of reviews that should have been up in the last day or so, but Connor was so ill, he lost his voice completely, and he's still not really up to speed. Hopefully by tomorrow we'll have reviews pumping back out again. Luckily it happened at a time of the week when heavy shows like Mr. Robot weren't hitting. Otherwise, I probably would have just sat here on my own and talked about Mr. Robot for about an hour. So, count your blessings.
Aye. I mean, yeah. And be glad this didn't happen in like 2 weeks' time,
Oh, aye, when we're getting all the pilots, which are
where
about
it's
to
like
hit.
this every night. Yeah.
And that said, we've got a couple to do tomorrow, so a couple of things coming. But we'll talk about what's coming at the end of the video, because this is TV news. We're going to talk about everything that happened in this week's news, and I have to admit, there was like when I first did this news, I did it on Thursday night, and there was a lot, but it was a lot of uninteresting stuff, which I've left in because there's at least one or two reasons why we should mention them. There's names attached to them. They're like, oh well, Vin Diesel, I recognise that name, so we'll talk about that
I
briefly.
should bloody hope so.
you know, but at the same time, it was kind of uninteresting. But then we got a few more interesting things in the Friday and Saturday. So, um,
So me
yeah.
being ill was actually a blessing in disguise.
Well, you being miserable pleases me to no end anyway. But the downside is, of course, there may be some extra little icky noises coming from you over this video. So
There might,
apologies to
yeah.
everyone for that. He's got his finger over the mute button. He's going to try and limit it as much as possible. But
I've done my best.
bear with him. Bear with him. He's sick. The poor ginger soul. All right, news. What happened this week? All right, first one's a quick one, and I wasn't even going to put this in at first because I thought, well, we don't actually cover this show, but at the same time, it's relatively big. So just quickly, Narcos on Netflix has been renewed for both season 3 and season 4. So you're getting two more seasons of Narcos if you're into that show. So happy.
Netflix do this a fair bit, don't
Yeah.
they? They renew multiple seasons. They go, yeah, sure, go for it.
Yeah, season 2 actually just went up this past week, I think. So
Yeah.
they've given a quick renewal to that. So if you're into that show, then happy for you. So let's get to some other stuff. So probably the most relevant to us. Well, there's a few most relevant ones, but the most relevant is that Black Lightning, which is a DC character. We spoke about this, I think, last week, maybe 2 weeks ago.
I think it was last week. Yeah.
We were talking about how Greg Berlanti was shopping the pilot around with some other people around networks. Well, that didn't take long because Fox have given it a pilot commitment. So we're at least getting a pilot of this. And just to remind you of what the premise of this is, in the potential series, Jefferson Pierce has made his choice. He hung up the suit and his secret identity years ago, but with a daughter hell-bent on justice and a star student being recruited by a local gang, he'll be pulled back into the fight as the wanted vigilante and DC legend, Black Lightning. Um, so, yeah. Not
I
much more to
think
add, but
I think in different to usual, where when people have a pilot and then they have to go and pitch it, and it's like, come on, you want this? Like
yeah.
even before they have a pilot, it's like you want to give us the pilot. I think Berlanti at this point with superhero shows had a bidding war on his hands.
He probably did. That's probably why this happened so quick. And it's worth noting that it's not like he made a pilot and then shopped it. He shopped the idea.
Do you know, I'm almost more surprised that someone didn't outright buy like order a season from him, given
Yeah.
given his reputation in the genre.
Um, I'm pretty positive we're going to see this next season on Fox next September.
I'd be more surprised if we didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. So we spoke about this last week, of course, on how it'll work as its own thing because it doesn't have to be connected to anything. It feels more grounded. We called this maybe DC's take on Luke Cage in a way, at
Yeah.
least in terms of the TV shows. It seems like they're going that route. So no, that's cool. So that's obviously a big deal. We'll have more on that probably in pilot season. Maybe when we get a trailer in like April or whenever it is. Those things tend to
Maybe
hit.
February if we're lucky.
All right, next up, here's a name that's worth mentioning: Vince Gilligan.
It is a name worth mentioning.
If you're not familiar with that name, he is the man behind Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, so it is worth paying attention. He also cameoed on season 5 of Community. Oddly enough, that That was one of the weirdest cameos of all time, by the way. When I'm watching Community and then Vince Gilligan just shows up.
I mean, it's pretty strange, but I don't know if it's the weirdest of all time.
It's pretty weird. 'Cause I don't expect a creator to show up. It's kind of like when Joss Whedon showed up on Veronica Mars.
Well, that's true.
But I don't know. Anyway,
Kind of just on that point, kind of speaks to the idea that maybe we're starting to acknowledge more behind the scenes these days.
yeah, true. True. Vince Gilligan, then, he is working with HBO on a limited series. So this is going to be a night of style. Does it say how many episodes? I don't think it does. So they've not actually specified the number of episodes, but you're probably thinking about 8, maybe 10.
Probably 8 to 13 range.
Yeah. But basically, this is going to be based on a true story. It's called Raven, and it's a limited series from HBO about Jim Jones. Now, if you don't know Jim Jones, he was quite famous in the 70s because he he was the leader of the People's Temple cult, which, now, Connor, do you know who Jim Jones is?
I do not.
Right, have you ever heard the expression, drink the Kool-Aid? Or someone's going to drink the Kool-Aid first?
Can't say I have.
Really, you've never heard that? You've never heard, like, on an American show or movie?
Not that I've noticed. Maybe it's something that I've... It's possible that I've heard it, but because I didn't know the saying or understand it, it hasn't stuck in my memory.
True. I feel like it's just something I've heard often enough that someone will say, "Oh, they're drinking the Kool-Aid," if they're buying into something. Well, that comes from this. This is where that saying comes from. He, in 1978, he basically led his followers to a mass murder-suicide. He got a lot of them to basically drink Kool-Aid and kill themselves, and amongst other things. And there was
Standard cultists.
murder as well. It's also worth mentioning that Breaking Bad director Michelle McLaren is also set to direct the series. So, good names attached to this. So I'm going to give you just the official blurb for the plot here. Raven is the history of the People's Temples from its idealistic beginnings to its terrible end in Jonestown. The adaptation will focus on Jim Jones, but also his followers, who by and large were ordinary people of goodwill. It tells the mysterious story of how so many of them came to give up their lives for this man. So, I can see this. I can almost see it in my head how this will work with Vince Gilligan. I can see us getting like glimpses of that final, because everyone knows how this ends. Maybe not you, because you hadn't heard of it, but it's...
Sure, but I could, if I'd cared, I could have just Googled this and read it in like 2 minutes.
So everyone knows how it ends, so I can almost see him playing with like almost like a bookend at the start and the end of each episode. We'll see a bit of the final day. And it'll all build up to it. That would be my guess, but I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I can see how that could work. Like, you sprinkle it in.
I'm tempted to guess that this will be next summer's limited series from HBO.
I can see it, yeah. Well, see, the thing is, though, do they need it next summer with Game of Thrones being pushed back?
That's true. It could be right after Game of Thrones.
Because Game of Thrones doesn't start till the end of June next year. So that, again, there is less episodes, isn't there?
Yeah, there's only 7. It could be just before or just after Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones will probably finish, mid-August?
This could be between Game of Thrones and maybe a season 2 of Westworld next year.
It's true, they could just push Westworld back by a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm just guessing. I mean, it could be the year after that for all I know. But if the timing feels right, for them to, get
Announce
this ready.
it now, yeah.
The timing seems right for around that time period, but I mean, that's just a guess on our part. But anyway, it sounds interesting. Obviously, it's something we'll check out when it hits. Of course, Vince Gilligan and Michelle McLaren mean we're going to check it out, regardless of what it's about. But sounds interesting anyway. All right, so next up, here's something interesting. I really like the sound of this, actually, just to hype it up before I tell you what it is. AMC are going to be doing an anthology series, and we're talking anthology series in the sense that it's like a full season of a story. And then, season 2 would be a different story. At least I think. That's what it sounds like to me. It doesn't specifically say that, but it sounds like that. And it's called The Terror. And it's based on the 2007 novel by Dan Simmons. It is coming from AMC Studios and Entertainment 360. It's going to be 10 episodes. They've ordered it straight to series. And it's going to come in 2017. Now, here's what season 1's about. Right?
Go on.
Right. The series is set in 1847 when a Royal Navy expedition crew searching for the Northwest Passage is attacked by a mysterious predator that stalks the ships and their crews in a suspenseful and desperate game of survival. It is a fictionalised account of Captain Sir John Franklin's lost expedition of the HMS Erebus and HMS Terror.
I'm in.
So it's about two ships who get lost, like, you know, in the ocean, and they're attacked by some unknown predator. I'm assuming it's a monster of some sorts. Or some alien, maybe, I don't know. But it's 10 episodes of that. That sounds great. I'm so in.
As long as they can pace it to sustain that over 10 and not lose the fear.
Well, I feel like, yeah, well, think about it. The first episode would probably mostly be the struggles of the sea, and then at the end, like, there'd be a body. You know? That's how you'd pace it. That's how you'd pace it. You'd build
I just, because you want something like that to be tense
Yeah.
and fearful and on edge throughout.
I feel like
it's a tall order for 10 hours.
It maybe is, but I also feel like you don't go straight to them knowing there's like a unknown entity. Maybe you start with them thinking it's one of them.
Yeah, that's true.
Until maybe a body appears on the second ship, and you're like, wait a minute, how could
how could the same killer here?
Yeah, and then I don't know. I'm theorizing. I'm unfamiliar with this story. It's loosely based on. Obviously, there probably wasn't a monster on the real story. I'm assuming there's a monster of some sort. So that's what it sounds like. There's a predator.
It specifically says predator, doesn't it? And
mysterious predator. So
you wouldn't think animal in this scenario.
No. And I suppose they could throw a twist in that it is actually just one of the people on the ship, but it doesn't sound like that to me from this.
That would be a bit of a letdown, I think.
Yeah.
If they've hyped it up from the description as a mysterious predator, it just being a person would be a little disappointing.
But yeah, that's coming in 2017. Hopefully that hits in the summer. That'd be perfect summer viewing. But then again, they probably have Preacher during that time.
Well, Preacher finished quite early this summer.
It was the start of August, end of July.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But that still leaves you all
true.
of August, and you can run through September as well.
I typically always want these to be in the summer because we're always so packed for content in the rest of the year that every time we get like one of these 10 episode things, I'm like, oh, hopefully that's the summer because we need summer stuff.
Yeah, I like summer. Any time from like April. Yeah. Really?
April through to September. You want more content in there to fill your TV viewing habits. But that sounds good. I am so on board for this.
Yeah.
Also, Tobias Menzies, who is known for The Outlander, is going to star as the lead. That was a bit of the news that came with it. I don't really know who that is, but I'll throw that in there too. Alright, so next up, speaking of anthologies, speaking of being based on things, a channel which has only just started doing original content. It's typically been a channel that's just been repeats of old shows and things like that. TV Land has ordered a pilot for an anthology series based on the movie Heathers.
I'm down.
Yeah, it's a single camera half-hour comedy. Yeah, the pilot will reimagine the popular three girls at the centre of the film. The movie told the story of high school student Veronica, played by Winona Ryder, and her relationship with the three popular girls named Heather. So it doesn't actually give you much on what the show will be about. It lets you know the three Heathers will be there. They'll be in a high school, but beyond that, it's not really telling us anything.
If it keeps some of the vague tone of Heathers, like the style, obviously it can be modern, but that sort of like that tone of humour and stuff, I'm down.
Yeah, funnily enough, that's what I liked about Heathers. What I didn't like was the actual plot. I didn't like where the plot went with the two main characters.
No, I don't think the plot's anything special, but I think the black humour of it is fantastic.
So, yeah, I guess that's something else that'll probably be hitting in 2017. They keep throwing new shows at us. Right, now we're going to get to... Oh, is the next one in this...
You've forgotten to put something there.
No. I was about to say something. Right, the next one's not included in this. Right, I'll say what I was about to say after this next one. It's just I want to put a blank over the last like 3 or 4 things because there's something they all have in common.
Oh, okay.
Right, but now next up, NBC is working on a show called First Responders, which is being executive produced by Vin Diesel. That is the
Huh.
most interesting this thing is, because yeah, so it's an hour long. It's going to be a procedural of sorts.
First
Uh,
responders, police, fire, ambulances. What are we talking?
not quite those. You're not a million miles away, of course. It's a dynamic, high-action procedural about veterans struggling to reintegrate into society while heroically saving civilians' lives along the way. The elite team is the elite team is best search and rescue operation in the country, and is run by a husband and wife duo, Doc and Lil Pierce, whose Southern California coastal base provides a sense of community and surrogate family for their ex-military staff. While Doc and Lil can save anyone else's life in the darkest times, they have been unable to find their own son and will stop at nothing to solve the mystery of his disappearance and bring him back home.
Do you know, I was kind of interested until you got to that end bit.
I know.
And I was like, ugh, this just turned into melodrama.
Yeah, I don't know. At first, it sounded like just a procedural to me, so I wasn't super into it. And then that last bit, as you said, it just sounds really
Like I
melodramatic.
said, I wasn't super into it, but it was like, could be fun, you know. Could be a bit of a fun actiony thing. And then you get to that, and it's like, nah, okay, that's melodrama. I'm done.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not super feeling it either. But hey, I thought I'd mention it. We always like to talk about how silly some of the new shows are. Do you know, actually, there was a couple of silly shows from last week that I didn't put in the news. They kind of slipped under my radar, and I was going to put them on this week's just to, we'll talk about them. But we ended up having so many this week that I just left them off. But I will mention just what I remember from one of them. They're turning King Arthur into a cop procedural.
Modern day, or
Oh yeah, it's a cop procedural.
that's strange.
Aye, as I
I
say,
don't even know how you do that.
like I said, I don't have it in front of me. I seen the
I
headlines.
still
in the middle
think
of the
nothing, as far as ridiculous announcements of shows go, nothing beats the Mermaid War one.
week. Well, I'm looking forward to that.
I know.
I hope that's good.
Just waiting for the day.
Hopefully that's Freeform's attempt at like a good show. I can see it happening. Come on.
From the Mermaid War.
All right, so yeah, the next three things, we've got three more news items, and all of them, they're all new shows that are in development, and they're all based on books.
Okay, that's not that uncommon.
That's the thing this week. I felt like it was weird. I was getting so many based on a book thing. So was the Terror as well, but that was in the half of the show of shows that we're interested in.
Oh, okay. That way to put a downer on this going
Well,
forward.
you might be more interested than I was, but I felt these were all kind of just, they exist. Some of them could end up being decent, who knows. Meryl Streep is going to star in this first one. J.J. Abrams is also involved in producing it. It's called The Nix, which is not got a network yet, but it's Warner Bros. Television that's making it. So Meryl Streep will be starring and executive producing this, should it all go through. It's based on the novel, which only just came out in August, so it's a brand new novel. Like, this is fresh off the presses. It centres around Samuel Andressen Anderson. That's a really fun double-barrel name, because they're two very similar words.
Yeah.
Andressen Anderson. A college professor whose estranged mother reappears decades after abandoning the family, having committed an absurd crime that incites a media frenzy.
I don't care, but I do think it's kind of interesting. I got Meryl Streep for a TV show.
It does. It's the sort of thing we'll probably just cover the first one just to see what it's like.
Just out of morbid curiosity of what got these names attached more than anything.
Yeah, we'll got Meryl Streep involved. And obviously, I do like Abrams, and most of his shows typically tend to be interesting at the very least. So, yeah, maybe it'll be worth something. It does sound a little bit like American Gothic, though, for my liking.
Yeah. But the premise of that wasn't the problem.
That's true. That is very true. I assume Streep will be playing the estranged mother who comes back.
Sounds like her sort of thing.
You would imagine it would be, because otherwise, like, if she's the, obviously it's not, because it's a guy named Samuel. But let's say she was the main character. How old would the mother have to be?
Yeah, exactly.
Coming in the wheelchair and the walker. But yeah, so that's the Nix, and that's with an X. I'm not. I'm
Yeah,
not. I'm not saying like the basketball team. It's got an X in it. Um, next up, NBC. We're back to them. They are developing a series based on, again, a book that came out this summer. It's another fresh book. It's called The Curve, a novel.
it actually says a novel.
Yeah, it's The Curve colon a novel.
That is such pretentious
Yeah.
nonsense.
I feel like the show will probably drop the novel part just because
It's no longer a novel.
Although what they might do is they might call it The Curve, a television series.
Or just the Curve, the show, a show.
Ah, yeah, they could do that. But yeah, so it's based on a novel by Jeremy Blackman and Cameron Stracker, which was published in June, and it is a legal education satire.
Ah, I'm out.
The potential series follows an attorney who decides to leave the White Shoe law firm and give back by teaching, but he finds his idealism challenged when he signs on to work at the worst academic institution in the country, Manhattan Law School, located in Brooklyn. While attempting to navigate the murky waters of for-profit academia, he strives to give the best education he can to a motley crew of students.
Nope. No part of that sounds interesting.
You never know. If it has like a sort, see if it has like a sort of, I don't know.
It almost feels like it should be a sitcom. If that was a sitcom, I'd be more interested.
It is a satire, so I could if it does play in that and it is darkly funny, then maybe it could be fun. I don't know, but
Maybe, but I feel like stretching it to a 40-minute drama.
yeah. Well, hey, I did put this in the less interested half of the news for a reason.
Bloody good idea.
Yeah. But anyway, next up, and again another name that's usually associated with movies, Jessica Biel is going to star in a TV show from USA Network.
God damn it.
Yeah, but that's quite a big star for USA Network to get.
It is. It's all this Mr. Robot hype. It's like it's drawing in the crowds.
That's basically what it is. That's how they got someone like Jessica Biel.
No, I mean, it is.
Well, she's a huge name, but she is a movie person. She's
not so much these days, but...
But it's called The Sinner, and it is a crime thriller. So, yeah, The Sinner is an hour-long drama that follows a young mother who is overcome by an inexplicable fit of rage and commits a startling and very public act of violence, and to her horror has no idea why. The event launches a crime thriller whose driving force is not the who, the what, but the why. A rogue investigator finds himself obsessed with uncovering the woman's buried motive, and together they travel a harrowing journey into the depths of her psyche and the violent secrets hidden in her past. And by the way, it's also based on a book.
No. You start a crime thriller, it's like, okay, I'm interested, and then as you went on and on, I kind of got bored.
I'm more interested in this one than the last two.
Sure, but it's not really saying that much, is it?
Maybe, but I feel like there's at least some stuff here, like, you know, the why did she do it, like what's caused her to do this. That could be interesting. Admittedly, I'm a little concerned that the reason why they're doing this is because that's very Mr. Robot in a lot of ways. Like, why is the characters doing this? Why is this happening? What's happened in their past? You know, the psyche and all that. There's a lot of stuff there that kind of carries over in a weird way, but maybe it'll be alright. I don't know. It's something we'll try when it hits sometime next year, probably.
Of course, we bloody will.
Well, it's worth mentioning, it's only been picked up for a pilot. It's not been greenlit straight to series. So,
okay.
So we might not see it. It might just be quietly swept under the rug. All right, and that's this week's news. That's everything.
That's all of it.
Yeah, that's all of it.
Yeah, wasn't too bad.
It was a lot of stuff, but we didn't. Some of the stuff we'd already talked about, so it was a quick refresher and so on. So, but yeah, that's everything. Sorry for the news being a day or so late than it usually is this week. Obviously, Connor being ill is what prompted that. And we do have some more reviews coming. We have not Showtime, Cinemax's new show Quarry. We'll have a review up for that sometime tomorrow. We'll also have a review for Son of Zorn from Fox, and plus obviously the next episode of Brain Dead's coming. And obviously tons of new shows coming over the next month and a half, so look forward to all those. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz. Let us know in the comments what you thought of all this week's news. Like and subscribe and all of that jazz. Thanks very much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.